Pasadena, Texas, I was born and raised. Grew up with both parents who weren't on the same page. Sometimes they would laugh, more times they would crumble. They both loved one another but didn't.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today it's gonna be a different kind of video. I'm still gonna do my makeup, but only because I haven't done it yet. So today's gonna be a different video than what I usually do. So I don't know if y'all heard of a YouTuber named Bailey Sarian. She pretty much talks about like murder mystery stuff, and while she does her makeup, and she does it every Monday. I actually just finished her playlist. Like, it's amazing. Like, I like it a lot. I'm in no way trying to copy her. Like, the only reason I'm doing, like, so today, okay, let me tell you what I'm going to. Today I'm going to talk about a true crime story that I found, because when I seen her videos, I was like, why didn't I think of doing that? Because I love listening about, like, I love hearing about true crime and like their backstory, like how they got into what they got, you know, convicted for, or why they did what they did and stuff. So I decided to just try it. I mean, I posted a picture on my Facebook asking what I should talk about, and I know somebody put on their conspiracy theories, and I want to do that, but I'm gonna need time. I'm gonna need like a week just to do like research and stuff, so I'll probably do that next. But yeah, so the only reason I'm doing this story is because I had researched this about 2-3 weeks ago, and then I stopped for a while because I was still thinking, like, I don't think I should do it. Like, somebody else is already doing it. I don't want people to come after me. Like, you're just copying her, and it's like I'm really not. I don't want to. I just like talking about it. So today I'm gonna do my makeup while I talk about it. But just so y'all know, the next time if I keep doing this, like if I keep like talking about like true crime stories and stuff, I'll have my makeup done just so I won't have like people like, oh, you're just copying Bailey Sarian. And it's like I'm not. I'm really trying not to. I'll have my makeup done before I even talk about it, and I'll just sit here and talk to y'all about it the way I am now. But I am gonna do my makeup just to get ready for the day. It's actually a little late. It's like almost 2. I was supposed to have done this video. This video is already supposed to be done by now. It's probably should have been up already, but because I slept in a little later than what I wanted, and I had to finish my research, because again, I stopped researching the whole thing because I was still debating on it, and my fiance was like, well, dude, just do it. Like, just go for it. If you don't like it, or if they don't like it, then just do something else, kind of thing. So I was like, F it, I'll do it, you know. So before I get started, I do want to say that there is going to be like graphic stuff that I'm going to be saying. So if you have like a weak stomach, or you can't handle, like, because it's going to be like rape kind of stuff. And yeah, when I read this, when I researched it, I was like, holy shit, dude, like, this is bad. So, and I never heard of this. The only reason I found this one is because I legit researched serial killers in Houston, Texas. So I'm starting off here in Houston because that's where I'm from. It's where I was born and raised. So I wanted to start here in Houston, and I never heard of any kind of serial killers in Houston. Apparently there's a lot, and I don't know about it. So I'll probably just do all the ones here in Houston that I can find. But if y'all have anybody, or y'all know of any like serial killers or any true crime stories y'all want me to talk about, or like research and like talk about on here, let me know. Comment down below and let me know the names, and I can always research. I'll do these videos weekly. I'll probably do them every Wednesday or Thursdays, depending on my schedule, because y'all know my work schedule, it's crazy sometimes. I work nights, so I get tired. So I'll probably have to like video, or like I'll probably have to do the video like before the day of and upload it later, you know, like get it ready so I can upload it on Wednesdays, kind of thing. Anyway, so yes, so before I get started, again, before I get started, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you can always get notified every time I upload a video. Go ahead and like, comment, share, and all that other good stuff. And again, let me know who else y'all want me to talk about when I'm done with this story. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Alright, so before I start the story, before I start my makeup and stuff, I am going to be looking down just because I wrote everything down, just because I have pregnancy brain and I remember most of the story, but like as far as like dates and like how everything happened, I get not confused, but I get like a little mixed up or whatever. So I have everything written down, so if you hear like a page turning or whatever, that's just me. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking at what I wrote. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Today, we're gonna talk about Dean Corll. Let me know if y'all ever heard of him. He also went by the Candyman or the Pied Piper, and later on, it comes up later why he was given that nickname. But yeah, he was born December 24th of 1939 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, to the parents of Arnold Edwin Corll and Mary Emma Robinson. So he was actually the firstborn. So he was the oldest one, and then he had a little brother. Then his father was very strict. He was a strict parent, like most parents are, like most fathers are. I know my dad was a strict parent, you know. His dad was the strict parent, but his mom was pretty much very protective of the two boys. So they were probably like when the dad would get mad at them or something, she would protect them kind of thing. I want to say 4 years after the birth of the second one, of their second son, they ended up getting the divorce because they fought a lot. The parents, they would fight a lot. They ended up selling the family. The mom ended up selling the family house, and they relocated to a trailer home in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where Arnold, the father, was drafted in the U.S. Air Force so that the kids can stay in contact with the father. Okay, so that's a little, backstory about, I guess, like the family in the beginning. So Dean Corll, he was shy and he was a serious child who seldom socialized with other children. But he displayed concern of the well-being of others. So he got along with other kids. He was just really shy and didn't really associate with kids. At the age of 7, he suffered an undiagnosed case of rheumatic fever and actually went untreated until the age of 11, which that's when they discovered it. Because the only reason they discovered it because the doctors found a heart murmur in 1950. So that was the only reason why or how they knew he had it. So because of his heart murmur, he was excused from like PE or like any like activities kind of thing. Then later on, the parents decided to remarry, and they moved to Pasadena, Texas in 1950. And then shortly after, like 3 years after, in 1953, they divorced again, and with the mother retaining custody of her kids. So she stayed having custody of her kids. So the mom ended up remarrying another guy. His name is Jake West. He was a traveling clock salesman, and they moved to a small town of Vidor. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm bad at pronouncing some stuff sometimes, but it's a small town of Vidor in Texas. And in 1955, the mom ended up giving birth to another kid, this time a girl, which would be his half sister named Joyce. Later on, they started a family candy company called Pecan Prince. So I tried finding like photos and stuff about like how the logo looked and stuff. I couldn't find anything. I found some, but I didn't think I was like, I don't think that's it. I think that's something else. So I couldn't find anything, guys. Sorry. Otherwise, I would have put it up somewhere here. Also, if I haven't started already, I'll put photos of like Dean Corll and the family, or like, and then later on, as I go. So anyway, so yeah, so they started a family candy company that actually started in the garage, and Dean would work day and night while attending school. Him and his brother would work day and night, like getting like the candy ready. I think they would get it ready, bag it and stuff, and his dad or his stepfather would be the one selling it. So they had that responsibility. And the route that his stepdad would often take would involve West traveling to Houston, where it was mainly sold. Yeah, so he was mainly in Houston selling the candy, which later on is where they moved, just because that's where most of the candy was getting sold at. So I guess it would just be easier. But I'm getting ahead. Alright, sorry. So from 1954 to 1958, Dean attended Medora High School. He was a well-behaved student. He achieved good grades. But he was considered a loner, but was known to date girls throughout his teenage years. So his major in high school was brass band, and he played the trombone. And then he graduated in the summer of 1958. And then shortly after, the family moved to the northern outskirts of Houston, Texas, so they could be closer to the sales of the candy business. Opened up a new shop, like a legit store, and they called Pecan Prince when they moved down there. And then in 1960, this was 2 years after he graduated, he actually moved to Indiana to live with his widowed grandmother. So he moved to go live with her, I guess, to help take care of her and stuff. So he was there for about 2 years, and he actually started dating a girl there, and the girl actually proposed to him, and he denied it. And so then after the 2 years, he actually came back to Houston to help with the family business. So there was an apartment above the shop, and that's where he would stay at, just there at the shop. So the mother ended up divorcing his stepfather, was Jake West, in 1963, and she just opened a new shop, and she named it Corll Candy Company. Dean ended up being the vice president of the new family candy shop, and his brother ended up being the secretary treasurer. So that same year, one of the teenage male employees of the Corll Candy Company complained to the mother that Dean had made sexual advances towards him. So the mother ended up firing the teenager. So I'm guessing she was like didn't believe him, kind of thing. Like, she's like, you're lying, like my son wouldn't do that, kind of thing. So she ended up firing him. On August 10th of 1964, Dean Corll, like, despite his heart murmur that he had, he was drafted into the U.S. Army, and he was assigned to Fort Polk, Louisiana for basic training. Later, he was assigned to Fort Benning, Georgia, to train as a radio repairman before his permanent assignment to Fort Hood, Texas. Dean hated the military service, and he applied for a hardship discharge on the grounds that he was needed in his family's business. So he pretty much told him, like, I need to go back and help my family out, kind of thing. And so the Army granted his request and was given an honorable discharge on June 11th of 1965, which was 10 months, which was after 10 months of service. He only served like 10 months, not even a year. But during his time, he had realized that he was homosexual and experienced his first homosexual encounters. So he remained close to some acquaintances after his release from the army. Others noted a change in Dean's mannerism when in the company of the teenage males after he had completed his service in the army and returned to Houston, which led them to believe he was or he may have been gay. So I guess nobody really knew he was gay until like after. Let me put more. Until after he was out or whatever. In 1965, the shop relocated to 22nd Street across the street from Helms Elementary. He was known to give free candy out to local children, particularly teenage boys, and that's how he earned the name the Candyman and the Piper. That's how he earned that name. So the company employed a small workforce and was seen to behave flirtatiously towards the teenage boys. They would hire like kids to come work, and he would be like very flirtatious with them and like I guess flirt with them or whatever. As far as like touching them or like having sex with them, they didn't report any of it, but he did flirt with them. In 1967, he was already 28 by this time. He befriended a 12-year-old named David Owen Brooks. 12-year-old, guys. Okay, keep that in mind, a 12-year-old. Okay, he was a 6th grader and also one of the many kids he gave free candy to. He became one of Corll's many youthful close companions, and some of the kids even began to view him as a father. So he always gave them money when they needed and stuff. So later on, I want to say like in 1969, a sexual relationship developed between the two, so between David and Dean Corll. So a sexual relationship developed between the two, and beginning in June of 1969, Dean paid Brooks in cash or with gifts to allow him to perform sexual stuff on the youth, so like BJs and stuff. A little backstory on David Brooks. So his parents were divorced. His father lived in Houston and his mother lived in Beaumont. And in 1970, which was he was 15 years old, he dropped out of Waltrip High School and he moved to Beaumont with his mom. And when he visited his father, when he would go and visit his father, he would also visit Dean. And Dean would allow him to stay at his apartment if he wished to. Yeah, later that he just moved back to Houston, he would actually call Dean's apartment his second home. By the time Brooks had dropped out, Dean's mother and Joyce, which is Dean's little sister, they moved to Colorado after the failure of her third marriage and the closure of the candy shop in June of 1968. It said that she would talk to him on the phone because, I mean, again, Dean was old enough. He was like 20. He was probably like already in his 30s. He had his own apartment. And so the mom said that they would just talk on the phone or whatever. But she never saw him again. She would talk to him on the phone, but she never like physically saw him ever again. Following the closure of the company, he took a job as an electrician at the Houston Lighting and Power Company, where he tested electrical relay systems, and he worked there until his death, which I'll get to that later. So now I'm going to get into the murders of Dean Corll. So the murders, they happened between 1970 and 1973. And Dean is known to have killed a minimum of 28 victims, aged between 13 to 20 years old. They were mainly abducted from the Houston Heights, and he was assisted by one or both of the teenage accomplices. And now One of them ended up being David Brooks, and the other one I'll name him later on. So most of the victims that he would get were actually friends with the acquaintances that he had, which is pretty sad. It's like, you think you can trust friends, and then they like take you somewhere where you're gonna get killed, kind of thing. And then there was other victims that they first got acquainted to Dean before he would murder them. And two were like former employees at the candy shop or whatever that he worked at, or that his family had owned. So how he would get them into his house or invite them to his house by saying there would be like a party, or he would give them like a lift home or something, and instead he would be driving them to his house. Is how he would lure them into going. He would give them like alcohol or other drugs until they passed out, and he would trick them into putting handcuffs or simply grabbed by force. They were stripped naked and either tied to Dean's bed or this plywood torture board, which was hung on the wall. Once they were like tied up or whatever, the victims would actually be sexually assaulted, beaten, tortured, and sometimes after several days killed by strangulation or shooting with a .22 caliber pistol. So the bodies were then tied in plastic sheeting and buried in one of the four places, which is a rented boat shed, a beach on the Bolivar Peninsula, a woodland near Lake San Rayburn, which is where Dean's family owned a cabin, like a log cabin, or a beach in Jefferson County. In several cases, Dean had the victims to either phone or write to their parents with explanations for their absences in an effort to allay the parents' fears of their safety. So he pretty much like had them write to them or call them to like, I'm okay kind of thing. Yeah, so he was also known to have keepsakes, usually keys from his victims. And during the years of the murders, Dean often changed addresses until he moved to Pasadena, Texas in spring of 1973. So his first victim, so in total, I think there's like 28 plus victims. I'm not going to talk about all of them just because it's going to make this video like super duper long, and it's already like long as it is probably at this point. But I am going to talk about a few of them. I may or may not say their names. I probably will just because I have them written down. And so yeah. So his first victim, his name was Jeffrey Conan. He was an 18-year-old and a college freshman. This was in September 25th, 1970. So he vanished while hitchhiking with another student from the University of Texas to his parents' home in Houston. Yeah, he was actually dropped off alone at the corner of Westheimer Road and South Voss Road. Let me know if you live in Houston. Let me know if you know like exactly where that's at. I have no idea where it's at. Like, I live in Houston, but like a certain part in Houston, like, you know, like I've never lived like the north side of Houston or anything. Or Houston Heights. I don't even know where that's at either. So, yeah, let me know if you know where any of those places are at. Because I don't. Anyway, so yeah, he was dropped off alone at the corner of Westheimer Road and South Voss Road near the uptown area of Houston. So Dean would likely offered a ride to him to his house, to his parents' house, which of course he accepted it. I guess back then you didn't really think of it like as it being bad or anything. You're just like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna need a ride, you know, it's a long way home kind of thing. So of course he accepted it, and at that time Dean lived in an apartment on Yorktown Street. I think I know where that one's at. But He lived on an apartment in Yorktown Street near the intersection with Westheimer Road. So, during the time of Conan's murder, David Brooks interrupted Dean in the act of sexually assaulting 2 teenage boys who were strapped to a 4-poster board. So David pretty much caught him in the act of it. So in order to keep Brooks quiet, he promised to buy him a car. So Brooks agreed, and later he bought him a green Chevy Corvette. And then he offered him $200 for every boy he can lure back to his place. And I guess to David it was like, it's like easy money. All I gotta do is bring the boys back to his place kind of thing. So I'm pretty sure he knew what he was doing, because he was doing it. He caught him in the act of doing it, so he knew what he was doing. So he accepted the offer. So every boy he would bring in, he would get $200 for each one. So if he brought 3 boys, that's like easy $600 right there. So again, $200 for each boy. So on December 13th, 1970, Brooks lured 2 14-year-old Spring Branch youths named James Glass and Danny Yates away from a religious rally held in the Heights district of Houston to his apartment. Glass was an acquaintance of Brooks, or David Brooks, who had previously visited Corll's address. So he's been there before. So I guess he didn't think anything of it. So when this other guy was with him, he's like, yeah, okay, we'll go, He probably told him like, oh yeah, I know this guy, Like it's okay. So they got there. Both boys were tied to opposite sides of Corll's torture board and subsequently raped, strangled, and buried in the boat shed that he rented on November 17th. And the boat shed's located in the southwest Houston, I think is what they said. But again, it comes later on. So 6 weeks after the double murder of Glass and Yates, which was January 30th, 1971, Brooks and Dean encountered 2 teenage boys, which were brothers, which was Donald and Jerry Waldrop. And they were walking towards their parents' house. So Donald and Jerry originally went to a friend's house to go talk about a bowling league, but his friend wasn't there, so they decided to just go back home, to just walk back home. Both boys were convinced to get in Dean's van for a ride home, but instead he went to his apartment he rented on Mangum Road. They were raped, tortured, strangled, and buried in the boat shed as well. Both of them. Between March and May of 1971, Dean abducted and killed 3 victims, all of which lived in Houston Heights and buried at the boat shed. And Brooks participated in those as well. So one of the 3 victims that they had abducted was a 15-year-old named Randall Harvey. He was last seen by family on March 9th, cycling towards Oak Forest, where he worked part-time as a gas attendant. And he was killed by a gunshot to the head. So I know most of these are like strangulation, but he was actually shot in the head. The other 2 victims was 13-year-old David Hilgeist and 16-year-old Gregory Malley Winkle, were abducted and killed together on the afternoon of May 29th of 1971. The parents of victims launched a frantic search for their sons, and one of the youths that would later become an accomplice for Dean, which is 15-year-old Elmer Wayne Henley, would voluntarily distribute posters and was also a lifelong friend of David Hilgeist. So he knew this kid Hilgeist, so he helped the parents post like missing persons poster up for them. Like he tried helping, looking for him and everything, and then later on becomes an accomplice. But I mean, I'll get to that in a bit. On August 17th of 1971, Brooks and Dean encountered a 17-year-old acquaintance of Brooks, which his name is Reuben Watson Haney, walking home. So Brooks persuaded Haney to attend a party at an address Dean had moved to on San Felipe Street. Haney agreed and was strangled and buried in the boat shed. So in the winter of 1971, that's when David introduced Elmer Wayne Henley to Dean Corll. So he was most likely supposed to be a victim for Dean. So they were supposed to get $200 for him, pretty much. But Dean was like, no, I think he'll be a good accomplice. He actually offered Henley $200 for every boy he can bring in. So Henley at first didn't know what he was doing. What Dean Corll told Henley was that they were part of a white slavery ring, is what it's called, and they were pretty much what they would do. They would just abduct them and pretty much transfer them to Dallas, and they stayed over there and they did I don't know what to them. Pretty much white slavery ring. They pretty much did like what Dean was doing. He said that's what they were doing over there, but he didn't know Dean was the one doing it. I think so. He offered him the same thing he offered Brooks, which was $200 for every boy he would bring in. But he actually ignored it. He denied it. He's like, no, thank you. He didn't want to do it, kind of thing, you know. And I mean, that gets me to thinking, like, if you know, I mean, let me know what y'all think. If you know, like, somebody offered you $200 to lure boys in, to get them transferred to Dallas, to pretty much get raped and sexually assaulted and murdered in Dallas, wouldn't you, like, report that? Like, wouldn't you go to police like, hey, I think I know somebody who's abducting these kids, and you should, like, pay them a visit, kind of thing, see what's going on, like, do research, like, go look in their home or something. I don't know, that's just me. And then being the guy that's doing it, wouldn't you think, like, maybe he's gonna go tell, maybe I should just kill him, maybe I should just give this Brooks guy $200 for him or something. I don't know, that was just my thinking. Like, I don't know, let me know what y'all guys think about it. Like, I think if I was in a situation, I denied it, I would have gone and reported him, or I would have talked to somebody and been like, hey, I think I know where these kids are going. Like, you need to go and search the home or something. Anyway, that's just me. Let me know what y'all think. Maybe it was different back in the day or something. But yeah, let me know. So early in 1972, Henley ended up accepting the offer just because his family ended up struggling financially. So he needed to do something to help. So I guess instead of getting a job, or I think he had a job, but he needed more money. So he accepted an offer. So he went, and he stated that his first abduction occurred during the time Dean resided at 925 Schuler Street, and he moved there in February of 1972. So Henley and Dean picked up a boy, and he lured him to his house where they promised to smoke weed. Henley tricked him into putting on the handcuffs, and so then Dean told him to leave. So he left Dean by himself with the kid, thinking he was going to be sold into the sexual slavery ring, or the white slavery ring, or whatever you want to call it. So between February 1st to June 4th of 1973, there were no known victims were killed. Just because Dean suffered from a hydrocele, which is a serious fluid in a body cavity. After that, he just continued his killings after he got over it, which increased dramatically. So I guess he was like trying to catch up, like he had to make up for it, kind of thing. So in July of 1973, Brooks married his pregnant girlfriend. So he ended up getting someone pregnant. He ended up marrying her. And Henley temporarily became Dean's sole partner of the victim. So he was pretty much the only one helping with everything. On August 3rd of 1973, Dean killed his last victim, which was a 13-year-old from South Houston named Jane Stanton Dramala. He was abducted by Brooks and Corll while riding his bike in Pasadena. He was tied to the torture board, raped, tortured, and strangled with the cord and buried in the boat shed as well. So on the evening of August 7, 1973, Henley, which he was now the age of 17, invited a 19-year-old named Timothy Cordell Curley to attend a party at Dean's Pasadena residence. And he was living, I think it was 2020 Lamar Street, I think, at this time. So he accepted the offer and he went. So this was supposed to be another victim for Dean. So he was supposed to get another 200 for him, right? So David Brooks wasn't present at the time. Again, he had a family now, kind of thing. So I guess he was more focused on that than anything. Guys, let me do my eyeliner. I'm over here talking and I totally forgot I was doing my makeup. Anyway, so they pretty much went. They were smelling paint fumes and drinking alcohol until midnight. And then around midnight, Henley and Curley both left because they were supposed to go get sandwiches or something to eat or whatever. So they drove back to the Houston Heights, and Kelly parked outside of Henley's house. And so Henley got out of the car and he began walking towards the home of a 15-year-old girl named Rhonda Louise Williams. And he was a friend of it. I read somewhere it was just a friend of his, and I read somewhere else where it was a girlfriend or something. But I'm gonna say she's just a friend. So it was a friend of his who was getting beaten by her father, who had been drinking that night. So they decided for her to just leave the home for right now until the father became sober. And she's like, okay, whatever, she'll live. So Henley invited Rhonda to Dean's home, and she agreed. So she agreed to go and hang out with them. She got in the car, in Curley's car, and they drove to Dean's residence. So at about 3 a.m. of August 8th of 1973, Henley and Curley, accompanied by Rhonda, returned to Dean's residence. So when Dean saw that a girl was there, that he brought a girl, he was pretty pissed off, because he was like, why would you bring a girl here, kind of thing. So he was furious with Henley that he brought a girl to the house, and so he told him in private that he ruined everything, like for bringing a girl home. Pretty much like he can't do it now, because she's there and she's gonna know and she's gonna go tell, kind of thing. And so Henley told him, like, well, the only reason I brought her was because she was getting beaten by her father, who was drunk at home, kind of thing. So Henley said that he seemed calm about it, like he seemed okay. So the kids continued to drink, smoke marijuana. The boys, Henley and Curley, were still smelling the paint fumes or whatever. So about 2 hours. So while they're doing all this, Dean Corll was just watching them. Like he was just looking at them. And so about 2 hours later is when they all passed out. I don't know how long after, but Henley ended up waking up to find himself on his stomach and Dean snapping handcuffs on him. His mouth was taped shut and his ankles had been bounded together. And Curley and Rhonda Williams, were right beside him, laying down, and they were both securely bounded with nylon rope, gagged with adhesive tape, like on them, lying face down. And Curley at this point was already stripped naked. So when Henley woke up, Dean removed his gag from his mouth and Henley was then begging for mercy. But Dean was still upset about him bringing the girl to his home. So he stated, quote, "Man, you blew it bringing that girl," end quote. He then shouted, "I'm going to kill you all, but first I'm going to have my fun." Meaning that he was going to rape, torture Curly. He then repeatedly kicked Rhonda in the chest before dragging Henley to the kitchen, where he threatened to shoot him with a .22 caliber pistol. So while in the kitchen, Henley was able to calm him down and say he would help to participate in the death of the two. So he's told him, like, if you let me go, I'll help you. I'll help you torture them. I'll help you rape, torture, and kill the both of them, kind of thing. So of course, Dean, knowing him for so long, or for like that year or two, he believed him. So he agreed, and he untied Henley, thinking he was gonna, help him rape, torture, and kill these kids. So he then carried Curly and Rhonda to his bedroom, and he tied them both to the opposite sides of the torture board that he had. Talk and do this, guys. Hang on. I don't know how Bailey Sarian does this shit. I can't even do it. I can't even talk to my fiance when he's here while doing it. I have to stop, talk, and then keep going. Like I just did right now. So yeah, they were both tied to opposite sides of the torture board that he had. Williams was on her back and Curly was on his stomach. So Dean handed Henley a hunting knife and pretty much told him to rip off Rhonda's clothing, because he told him that he would rape and kill Rhonda, and Dean would be the one to rape and kill Curly, right? And so he began to rip off Rhonda's clothing, right? And Dean began to assault and torture Curly, because again, at this point he was already naked. So whenever Henley woke up, he was already bare naked. He was already stripped naked. So he was already, I guess, ready, kind of thing. So Dean began to assault and torture Curly, and by this point they have already both woken up or whatever, and Curly began screaming and shouting, while Rhonda, whose gag was removed by Henley, picked up her head and asked, "Is this for real?" Henley then stated yes, and then Williams then asked, "Are you going to do anything about it?" So I guess when she said that, he had second thoughts about it. He's like I can't do it anymore, kind of thing. So he told Dean he was going to take Rhonda to another room for privacy, I guess. But Dean kind of ignored him, I guess, because he was, he was raping the kid. He was torturing the kid, So he's in his own little world doing this horrible things to this kid. And Henry just kind of grabbed the pistol, the .22 caliber pistol, and shouted, "You've gone far enough, Dean." And Dean got off of Curly and stood up, and Henley stated, I can't go on any longer. I can't have you kill my friends." So Dean was approaching Henley, saying, "Kill me, Wayne." Pretty much go, if you're gonna do it, do it. And Henley would take steps back while Dean would get closer, shouting, "You won't do it." And Henley then fired the gun, hitting him in the forehead, but noticed the bullet failed to fully penetrate Dean's skull. He then shot 2 more rounds, hitting his left shoulder. Dean ran out of the room, hitting the wall of the hallway. Then Henley fired 3 more shots to his lower back and shoulder. And Dean slid down the wall in the hallway outside the room where the 2 other teens were bound. And that's where Dean died, where he fell naked, where he fell his naked body lying face towards the wall. After shooting Dean, he then went to help Curly and Rhonda out of the torture board, and all 3 teens got dressed and discussed what actions they would take. So Henny suggested that they should just leave, like just leave them there or whatever, but Curly said that they should just call the cops, to which they all agreed, and they looked up the Pasadena police and Dean's telephone directory. At 8:24 a.m. on August 8, 1973, Henny placed a call to the Pasadena police. His call was answered by Velma Lines, which was an operator, and he then blurted out, "Y'all better come here right now, I just killed a man." So he gave the address, which again was 2020 Lamar Drive. And then as the teens waited on the porch, Henley mentioned that he had done that 4 or 5 times, meaning that he's helped rape and torture these kids 4 or 5 times. Not like them, but like other kids. Minutes after the police arrived, and 3 minutes later, the police arrived and the 3 teens were sitting on the porch outside the house, and the officer noticed a .22 caliber pistol on the driveway. So Henry told the officer that he made the phone call and told him that Dean's body was inside the house. So after confiscating the pistol and placing the 3 teens in a patrol car, the officer entered the home and discovered Dean's body in the hallway. So the officer returned to the car and read Henry his Miranda rights. And in response, Henry shouted, quote, "I don't care who knows about it. I had to get it off my chest," end quote. Curly later told detectives that Henry told him, "If you weren't my friend, I could have gotten $200 for you." Like, imagine somebody, like a friend, saying that to you. Like, dude, I could have gotten $200 for you, but I didn't because I saved your ass. They took Wayne into custody initially and was initially questioned in relation to killing Dean Corll. He told them what happened the evening and morning of, like the evening before and that morning of the shooting. He said he shot him in self-defense. And then when they questioned Williams and Curly, they wanted to make sure that they pretty much had the same story. And of course, it was the same story that they told him. That their statements pretty much supported what Wayne had said, and so they believed that he shot him in self-defense. He then confessed to the police that for 3 years, him and David Brooks, had both been helping lure young boys to his house. He told police he thought they were just being abducted and sold into a Dallas-based organization, but then later on found out it was Dean who was doing the killing. When they searched Dean's house, they found a thick plastic sheeting that he used, I guess, to cover the floor, a plywood torture board measuring 8 feet by 3 feet, which had handcuffs attached to them with nylon rope at the 2 corners, and the nylon rope to the other 2 as well. They also found a large hunting knife, rolls of the plastic sheets, a portable radio rigged to a pair of dry cells to give increased volume, I guess so like neighbors wouldn't hear them scream or anything, an electric motor with loose wires attached, 8 pairs of handcuffs, a number of dildos, thin glass tubes, and lengths of rope. Like, so he had like a shitload of stuff there. They also found his van parked outside, and when they were examining it, they noticed the rear windows were sealed by opaque blue curtains. They also found, like in the rear of the van, they also found a coil of rope, a swatch, a beige rug covered in soil stains, and a wooden crate with air holes drilled in the sides was found in Corll's backyard. And inside the crate was several strands of human hair. So when they began their search for the bodies, Wayne agreed to accompany the police to the boat shed in southwest Houston, where most of the bodies were buried at. So when they got there, they went inside the boat shed, and they found a half-stripped car, which turned out to be stolen from a youth car lot back in March. A child's bike, a large iron drum, water containers, 2 sacks of limes, and a large plastic bag full of boys' clothing. So 2 prison trustees began digging and soon uncovered the body of a young blonde-haired teenage boy lying on his side, wrapped in clear plastic and buried underneath a layer of lime. And then the more they kept digging, the more bodies were found, Most of the bodies were found wrapped in thick, clear plastic sheeting. Some had been shot, others had been strangled, and the ones that were strangled still had like rope wrapped around them. And then all the victims found had been sodomized, and most victims found bore evidence of sexual torture. Pubic hairs had been plucked out, genitals had been chewed, objects had been inserted into their rectums, and glass rods had been inserted into their urethra and smashed. Like, oh my god, like that, I knew that had to hurt. Like, these poor kids, man. Cloth rags had also been inserted into the victim's mouth with adhesive tape to muffle their scream. The third victim that they pulled out, or that they found, the rag was so far deep into his mouth that you can actually see his top and bottom teeth. So after they recovered the 8th body, it was already 11:55 p.m. It was already almost midnight, so they pretty much discontinued the search or the investigation until the next day. So I know what y'all are thinking. Where the hell is David? Because I know David Brooks. He was a part of all this. Where is he, So David Brooks actually went to the Houston Police Department, accompanied by his father. So he went to the police station on the evening of August 8th. So while they were doing the search, he actually went to the police department with his dad. And he gave a statement in which he denied any participation of the killings, but that he had known that Dean had raped and killed 2 youths in 1970. Which is bullcrap, because throughout the whole thing, it says that he was participating. He did everything. He was the first one to be an acquaintance with him, or to be an accomplice of Dean, So how are you not helping? He was helping. But I guess because in his mind, he's married, he's got a kid. So he'll say anything to try to get out of it. He'll lie. Which, I mean, I guess I get it, whatever, but it's like, well, you shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Let me know what y'all, again, think. Comment down below what y'all think about that. So, yeah, so on August 9th, they found 9 additional bodies in the boat shed, which came out to about, 17 bodies that were found already, just at the boat shed. And then on the morning of August 9th, Wayne Henley gave a full written statement detailing his and David's involvement with Dean in the abduction and murder of the youths. He admitted to killing about 9 youths and assisted in strangulation of others. He also said that the only 3 abduction and murders David had not assisted him and Dean were the 3 murders committed in the summer of 1973. So in the summer of 1973, David wasn't around because at this time, he was already married, he already had kids, so he wasn't around at this time. So he told him those were the only 3 that David Brooks was not a part of. So that afternoon, Wayne accompanied the police to Lake San Rayburn in San Augustine County, where David, and Dean had buried 4 victims killed that year. And so 2 additional bodies were found in shallow lime-soaked graves located close to a dirt road. Inside the lakeside log cabin owned by Dean's family Police found a second plywood torture board, rolls of plastic sheeting, shovels, and a sack of lime. So I'm guessing like the sack of lime was to like bury the smell of death, I'm guessing. Because when they found they uncovered the bodies at first at the boat shed, the body was pretty much under a bunch of like limes and stuff. So I'm guessing that's what it's for. I could be wrong. I don't know. Comment below if I'm wrong. If you let me know if y'all know what the lime was for. But that's what I'm guessing. It was just to cover the smell. So David Brooks gave a full confession on the evening of August 9th, admitting to being present at several killings and assisting in several burials. But he continued to deny any direct participation in the murders. So he's like, yes, I was there. Yes, I helped bury them, but I didn't. He pretty much said that he didn't touch them. He didn't do anything to them, kind of thing. Like he just helped bury the kids. So he agreed to accompany the police to High Island Beach to help search for the bodies of the victims. On August 10th, Wayne Henley again accompanied the police to High Island Beach as well, where 4 more bodies were found, making a total of 27 known victims, which ended up being the worst killing spree in American history at the time. The families of the victims were highly critical of the Houston Police Department, which had been quick to list the missing boys as runaways. So they pretty much said that the boys that were missing were just runaways. And they had been considered, they had not been considered worthy of any major investigation. So they didn't really try to find these kids. They didn't really try to investigate because, again, they just thought they were runaways kind of things. So the father of the Wildrop brothers, he actually informed the police of an acquaintance. An acquaintance had observed Dean burying what appeared to be bodies at his boat shed. And in response, the police performed a perfunctory. I'll put the word, let me know. I don't know how you say it. Search around the shed before dismissing the report as a hoax. So they pretty much did like a bullshit search and then just said like pretty much that it wasn't true. The father also stated that on one occasion when he visited the Houston Police Department, the police chief had told him, "Why are you down here? You know your kids are runaways." I mean, imagine like being a parent and your kids go missing and you know for a fact they're not runaways or whatever, like they were abducted. And then a police telling you like, why are you down here? You know your kids are runaways. Like that would make me feel like, dude, like what the hell? Like now I gotta do everything. Like I probably would have done everything myself, like the search and everything, you know? By May of 1974, 21 of Dean's victims had been identified, with all but 4 of the youths having either lived in or had close connections to the Houston Heights. 2 more teens were identified in 1983 and 1985. One lived in Houston Heights and the other youth lived in Oak Forest District in Houston. On August 13th, a grand jury convened in Harris County to hear evidence against Wayne and David. So the first witnesses to testify were Wanda Williams and Tim Curley, which were the 2 that were with Henley that night of the shooting of Dean. So they were there to testify to the events of August 7th and 8th, leading to the death of Dean Corll. Another witness testified to his experience at the hands of Dean Corll was Bailey Sarian. So Bailey Sarian was also a victim, but Dean Corll pretty much just raped him. I think he like raped and tortured him, but he let him live. Like he released him. Like he let him go. I don't know why. It doesn't say why. I didn't read about him until later on when I started reading like about the trial and stuff. That he was actually raped and tortured, but he wasn't killed. He was let go. It doesn't say why he was let go or anything. But I mean, I guess he just got lucky that he got let go. But also, it's like, why didn't he say anything? You know, like, why didn't he go to the police and be like, hey, I was just raped by Dean Corll, kind of thing, you know? I don't know. I don't know how it was back then. I guess nowadays people would just go to the police, you know, because that's just the right thing to do. That's like the most common sense to do. But I guess back in the 70s, um, it wasn't what you're supposed to do. I don't know. Let me know what y'all guys think. Oh, what y'all's what let me know what y'all think about that. I mean, this guy got lucky, is what I'm saying. He got really lucky. So after 6 hours of testimony from various people on August 14th, the jury initially indicted Wayne Henley on 3 murder charges and David Brooks on 1 count. And the bail for each was set to about $100,000. The district attorney requested for Wayne to undergo a psychiatric examination to determine whether he was mentally competent to stand trial, while his attorney Charles Melder opposed the decision, stating that move would violate Wayne's constitutional rights. By the time the grand jury had completed its investigation, Wayne had been indicted for 6 murders and David Brooks for 4 murders. Wayne Henley was not charged with the death of Dean Corll because the prosecutors again ruled on September 18. They ruled his death as a self-defense. It was had been committed in self-defense. So Elmer Wayne Henley and David Owen Brooks were tried separately for their roles in the murders. Wayne was brought to trial in San Antonio on July 1st of 1974. He was charged with 6 murders committed between March of 1972 and July of 1973. The jury deliberated for 92 minutes before finding Wayne guilty at all 6 murders, for which he was tried on August 8th. Judge Preston Dial ordered that Wayne serve each 99-year sentence consecutively, which totaling 594 years, and was transferred to the Huntsville unit to formally begin his sentence. So Wayne appealed his sentence and conviction, contending the jury in his initial trial had not been sequestered, that his attorney's objection to news media being present in the courtroom had been overruled, and citing that his defense team's attempts to present evidence contending that the initial trial should not have been held in San Antonio had also been overruled by the judge. So Wayne's appeal had been upheld and was awarded a retrial in December of 1978. So the retrial began on June 18th of 1979, and it was held in Corpus Christi this time. The attorneys were trying to get his written statements ruled inadmissible, but the judge ruled the written statements as admissible evidence. The retrial lasted about 9 days. The defense contended the evidence provided by the state belonged to Dean Corll, not Elmer Wayne Henley. So that was pretty much like his defense statement. On June 27th of 1979, the jury deliberated for over 2 hours before reaching the verdict. Wayne was again convicted for the 6 murders, and he was sentenced to 6 concurrent 99-year terms. David Brooks, was brought to trial on February 27, 1975. He had been indicted of 4 murders committed between 1970 and June of 1973, but was brought to trial charged only with the June of 1973 murder of 15-year-old William Ray Lawrence. So he was only tried for 1 murder. Brooks' defense attorney Jim Skelton argued that his client had not committed any murders and attempted to portray Corll, and to a lesser degree, Henley as being the active participants in the actual killings. So Brooks' defense attorney Jim Skelton argued that his client had not committed any murders and intended to portray Corll and to a lesser degree, and that Henley was the one being active was the one being an active participant in the actual killings, not him. The assistant district attorney, Tommy Dunn, dismissed the defense's contention outright, and at one point he stated to the jury, quote, "The defendant was in on this killings, this murderous rampage, from the very beginning. He tells you he was a cheerleader, if nothing else. That's what he was telling you about his presence. You know he was in on it." Close. Whatever. Anyway, close quote, quote, close quote, whatever. I'm getting tongue twisted now. I'm almost done, guys. So Brooks' trial lasted less than a week. The jury deliberated for about 90 minutes before reaching a verdict. He was found guilty of Lawrence's murder on March 4th, 1975, and sentenced to life imprisonment. Brooks showed no emotion as the sentence was passed, but his wife actually bursted out in tears when they told him his sentence. Brooks also appealed his sentence, stating the signed confession used against him were taken without him being informed of his legal rights. But his appeal was dismissed in May of 1979. So Wayne Henley is serving his life sentence and is incarcerated at the Mark W. Michael Unit in Anderson County, Texas. David Brooks served his life sentence at the Terrell Unit near Rocheron, Texas, prior to his death at the Galveston Hospital on May 28th of this year, 2020. And his death had been ruled as a COVID-19 related. So I guess he had the coronavirus, and that's how he died at the Galveston Hospital. So, yeah, so that is the story of Dean Corll, beginning to end. Questions I have. So I don't know. One question is, how did he get into, I guess, killing these kids? Because if you think about it, his childhood wasn't really that bad. I mean, if anything, his dad was strict, but that was nothing different. My parents were strict, or my dad was strict. My mom was strict too, but maybe not as bad as my dad. But I mean, he had his mom there to protect him, so I don't understand. That can't be why. And then, he was good in school. He had high grades. I know he dated girls throughout his teenage years, but then later on found out that, he is gay, But as far as I don't know if it was a fetish thing that he had, maybe he liked raping boys. I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand how he got into it. Comment down below what y'all guys think, how he got into it. Another question I have, I need these questions answered. I don't know who to go to. Is if he would have never brought Rhonda Williams to the house, would he still have let Dean Corll do those things to his friend, to Timothy Curley? Would he still have let him do it? Would he have tried to save him the way he did with Rhonda? Because I think when Rhonda was like, "Are you gonna do anything about it?" I think that clicked to him, and he'd be like, "Holy shit, what am I doing?" And I think that's what I feel that's what got to him, because it was a girl. He was about to rape somebody and kill, torture, or whatever somebody that was his friend, And so I don't know. I guess her being a girl was different, but it's if she wasn't there, would you still have let it happen to your friend? Would you still have let him rape, torture, and kill your friend that was there at first? I don't know. I have all these questions. I don't know who to ask. So I was originally gonna go like pass by the house that he lived in, but I think the 2020 Lamar one, I don't think it's that address anymore. I think it's like, because so one of the street, I can't remember which street it was. One of the streets, they actually redid the numbers, so it's not the same number anymore. So I mean, somebody could be living there in that house and they don't even know. So that's the story of Dean Corll. Let me know what y'all guys think of the story. Of what are your thoughts on him? What questions do y'all have? Also comment down below if y'all want me to keep doing this, let me know. If y'all want me to not do this anymore, let me know. Again, this is the first time I'm doing it. Again, I had researched this for like 2-3 weeks, maybe longer, but I had stopped for like a good 2 weeks just because I was like debating on whether I wanted to do it or not. But yeah, if I do continue to do this, I'll do what I'm doing now, and I'm just gonna talk. I'll have my makeup done and everything. I'm not gonna be doing my makeup while I talk about the murders, just because, again, I don't want any backlash on people saying you're just copying Bailey Sarian, and it's like I'm really trying not to. Like, I love Bailey Sarian, and like she's actually the one that gave me like the idea to do it. So yeah, let me know if y'all want to keep doing it. I'll do it. And if you do, comment some names down below. Like, I'll probably do another one. Apparently there's like a bunch of them here in Houston. I'll probably do another one from Houston, just because I'm from here and it's interesting to know what happened in my city. But yeah, if y'all have any names or any true crimes that y'all want me to do like research on and talk about, comment down below, let me know. I am going to try to do the conspiracy theory next week. Again, I have to do my research on it, and if I don't do it, I'll probably do it the week after. It all just depends how much information is on there. I actually have this book here, and this is where I had like all my writings and stuff. So this is where I was reading from when I was doing the Dean Corll. So yeah, so again, comment down below, let me know who y'all want me to do next. I won't do all my videos on this. This will just be a weekly thing, so I'll probably do another video sometime this week, just a makeup video or just any random video. So yeah, so let me know what y'all guys think about Dean Corll. And yeah, so thank you again, you guys, for listening to me run on about this guy. These kids didn't deserve what they did, and I hope these families found justice for these kids, because I don't know, being a parent and then having a police officer tell you, what are you doing down here? You know your kid's a runaway. Like, come on, dude. Like, what if that was your kid? Like, if that was a police kid, he would have gone like to every inch of this city to look for his kid. You know what I mean? Like, he would have tried harder if it was his kid than anybody else. Like, I'm not trying to talk bad about police officers. That, I mean, they're like, most police officers that they're good, you know. But I guess back in the day, they were just like, no, like, they're runaways, you know. I don't know. Let me know what y'all guys think. Don't come after me because of that comment. I'm just saying, like, I feel like they could have at least tried harder into finding these kids at first, you know. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. Let me know what y'all guys think about it. Again, okay, so I'm gonna stop talking now and end this video. Again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join my channel. I will try to be more active on here. I know I keep saying that, but if I keep doing these, if y'all keep giving me names and I keep doing research, I'll be more active on it. So yeah, so let me know who to do next, and I will see y'all in my next video. Peace.
Each other. It wasn't just me, I got a brother and sister. Witnessing that shit was one day to another. As much as it hurt me, it only built me stronger, built me tougher as a kid.